Nigel and the crew are waiting to hear from you, so get those comments in.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and a warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. I am your host this evening. My name is Nick Philpott, for those of you who don't know, and I'm shortly going to be joined by a motley crew. We don't have that much to talk about, if I'm honest with you. Nothing's really happened over the weekend. It's been very quiet. It's been pretty boring, really. I don't know where Tim was. I think he was sitting in the cinema somewhere while the game was being played. But we'll kick off because Slack has just joined us very late in the evening. You're muted, Ian. A very good evening to Mr. Lyons. How are you? Welcome back, mate.
Thank you very much. And what a time to come back, eh?
Indeed, I know. Ian, just to let you know, before we continue, there is a hissing noise from behind you. You got a dishwasher on or something? You're washing this small?
No, it's probably the Villa fans I've got under the stairs.
Oh, they're in your pocket, I think. They're probably in your pocket. Welcome back again to Paul Gear, aka the Real Panel. Great to see you Saturday, mate. It was a good day, wasn't it?
Amazing day, yeah. As I say, it's as we said earlier, if you, bar a penalty miss, if you could have written a script for Saturday and how it would go to perfection mode, it was that would have been it. So, yeah, it's going to be great fun reliving it tonight. Yeah,
absolutely, and we are going to relive it tonight as well. And we're also going to be keeping our eye on what's going on at the BBS Stadium. Palace are taking on Brighton at the under-21s as we speak, and they're currently 2-0 up at half-time, or they were when I last checked. Welcome the gorgeous, the wonderfully talented. I'm not going to say anymore. Hello, Teresa. How you doing?
Hello.
I nearly went to Tim there. I nearly went.
I was surprised you didn't.
It was too simple to go. Good enough. And Tim Richards, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all.
And how was Wembley for you, Tim?
Yeah, move on, please.
Sorry, mate. Carry on.
No, I'm fine. That's ignore you, Captain Tango. That's all right.
And if you see what Leon just said, hello, the Wembley crew. He obviously wasn't talking to you, Tim, was he? So you had prior engagement. You're going to tell everybody or what?
Yeah, I was at an escape room in Gravesend for my brother-in-law's 50th birthday. So yes, enough said. Thank you.
Good stuff. Anyway, for those of us that did, Teresa, were you there?
No.
Oh dear.
For those of my niece's 18th birthday, and because they moved the kickoff to 5:15, I didn't dare chance it just in case it went to penalties and extra time, and I would have missed it. So
right, okay.
I had to sell my ticket. But it's calmer. I'll be there for the final.
So you're going to be there for the final. Okay, Tim, are you going to grace us with your company for the final, do you think?
I expect so, yes. If I can get a ticket, that is.
I saw you guys from Fab would have all.
We don't like to talk about that too much, you know.
Well, there's certainly nothing else going on with Fab, so you may as well talk about it. Okay, we're going to kick off the show. And I think, bearing in mind my criticism of the particular black-clad group of guys over the years, I'm the first one to say when they get something wrong, okay? And I am the first one to say when they get something right. Gentlemen, if anybody from the HF are watching this, yes, this is Nick Philpott calling you out for the right reasons. Boys, how you displayed the little lad's face on the FA Cup and the rest of that display, you are a credit to yourselves and a credit to the club. Massive congratulations to you. I thought it was brilliant. It would lovely to be next time we do it. It's only a suggestion, but it would lovely to see that red and blue go up 2 levels as well. That you imagine that picture, a sea of red and blue upstairs as well. Across the, Paul, you're more of an expert. Leave that picture on the screen, Nige. That picture that we're looking at now, Paul, is that Club Wembley across the middle there?
Yeah, the middle tier is it's the corporate section and the very expensive seats. Yeah,
it would be. So there's no chance. They would allow any sort of display up there. I wouldn't have thought. Would that be correct?
I'd be surprised. I mean, half of those seats, I think, split down the middle of the screen to the left of the picture. You can see they actually sell that sort of half, that quarter to the fans of the club. So you could probably do that part, but yeah, further round you wouldn't be allowed.
But I mean, it was just a massive. As you turn around, because I was by the right-hand ear of the FA Cup. That's where I was actually stood on the lower tier. And to turn around and look up to the gods and see thousands and thousands and thousands of Palace fans up there just celebrating wildly, and enjoying the day before kick-off. I mean, that was the stupid thing. We had to okay, nice, take that one down, mate. Ian, where were you on Saturday, and what was your experience, please?
Well, after locking Tim in the escape room, I managed to bag some tickets in block 126. So that was square on, probably on the penalty spot with a goal to my left. And got a great view of the tifo and the fans and the flares, and just as good a view of the Villa fans sitting there all very quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, I'm going to ask you, is there likely to be, and I hope not, but is there likely to be any ramifications about the flares themselves?
Potentially, there could be a fine to the club. I haven't heard. We've not been told anything, but yeah, there is a potential. There could be a fine towards the club, but as I said, we haven't been told anything specifically.
Teresa.
Yeah, I saw something that somebody from the HF had put up on Twitter that they'd arranged it with Wembley because there were firemen.
That's what I'd heard.
So,
really?
Yeah. So I think they asked permission to have them in there. I don't know. That's only what I saw on Twitter. Okay,
Paul, I'll come to you first, Ian.
I'd probably think that's what the firemen were probably there as a precaution and probably knew what was coming. There was a report in a paper this morning saying that Crystal Palace fans copped the club a fine within 30 seconds of the whistle. So yeah, I think that's probably will get a fine for that.
Yeah, but to be fair, that was the current ban, so I wouldn't necessarily believe anything they.
No, it's true, but
I mean, that was probably
not allowed, and it's in the rules.
It was probably their understandable assumption to say that, but I've also heard that it was arranged with the stadium. Maybe not the best time to do it. We'll come on to that later, but they definitely put them in fire buckets, sand buckets. So I can only, and if that is the case, then Wembley have actually gone up, in my estimation, because years gone past they wouldn't have allowed us to take flags in, or our own flags or our own tifos. So fair play to them if that's the case. It gives us an edge, doesn't it?
Well, that is certainly the case. It definitely is. Rob Cranfield, yes, I saw your message. I will keep my flares hidden away, make no mistake. It's too warm today to wear flares. If you'd like me to stand up, I'm still in my shorts and you can all see my legs. It's entirely up to you. Teresa,
you were standing up.
Teresa, could I ask you to do something for me, please? Could I ask you to please keep your eye on the chat? Okay, I want to know. I can see there's dozens of comments gone through there already, and I'd like to try and get to them during the course of the evening, because we're just going to recap on what happened at the weekend and what we think about going forward for the final and all the rest of it. But I'd like to keep that on chat. Ladies and gentlemen, out in Facebook land, YouTube land, wherever you are watching or listening in the show, okay, wherever you are listening to the show, thank you for joining us this evening. Yes, we are in celebratory mode, all of us. Okay, I would like to know from you the following, please. What did you do prior to the game? Where did you go? Green Park, Covent Garden. I'll tell you my experiences at Covent Garden in a minute. There were numerous other pubs and locations that Palace fans congregated at. Where did you go beforehand? What was it like? What was the atmosphere like? In the chat, lots of detail, and Teresa will get to them during the course of the show. And what did you do to celebrate after the game? Like, I don't know, people like me, I've been on the go since 9 o'clock. I got the 9 o'clock train out of Colston, and come 9 o'clock in the evening or 8 o'clock in the evening, I was knackered. I just went home and celebrated with a curry with the family and that sort of stuff. What did you do? Please let us know in the chat, and we will try and get to some of them later in the show. Right, where should we kick off, guys? Any thoughts? We can do the usual stuff and kick off with the lineup if you want. Was there any surprises in the lineup, Ian?
Surprises, no. No, because I think they did really well during midweek. I was surprised actually at the strength of the squad in midweek, to be fair. So it was a fair point. It was a fair squad, good squad.
Yeah, and the only slight surprise for me there, and it was mentioned in Covent Garden where I was, and I actually heard at 11:30 from a very trusted source, and you know who you are, lady, if you're listening and or watching, you know who you are because you text me at Leicester Square. Oh, it was certainly around lunchtime, about 11:30, that Kamada was starting over Hughes. I think that would have probably been a little bit of a surprise to some people. However, I did make a point on talking last week of how well Kamada has been playing of late. Okay, and if I'm honest with you, I think he's. And again, I'm happy to discuss this, lads and lassies. I think he's hard done by that he didn't actually get man of the match on Saturday. I know Sarr did for the 2 goals, but he must have been a candidate, Ian, surely.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, Kamada, when I've been on here previously, I've said about what I expected to see from Kamada based on what I've seen in Germany and in Italy. And this is close to what it is. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. And for the first half, outshone Wharton. Wharton from the pitch. I mean, I've watched the game again from the TV today, and I've probably changed my mind slightly on Wharton's first half. But nevertheless, he kept Asensio Kamada that is quiet and was part of the reason we were able to get a foothold. He was fantastic and kept going for the full 97 minutes as well.
Thank you. 52 minutes gone at the BBS Stadium. It's now Crystal Palace 2, Brighton 1. I don't know who the goal scorer was because I'm not looking at that close. And just to prove who we are, absolutely live in the 12th minute, Leeds 0, Bristol City 0. Paul, I think you're going to cover the game for us, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you just dive in, mate?
Okay. So the game kicked off. Obviously, lots of anticipation at both ends of the pitch. As you say, well, Tifo had got the crowd going, the Flares have got the crowd going, and couldn't really see much of the game for the first couple of minutes, but that's the other story from the Flares. So the first 10, 15 minutes, it was two teams really feeling each other out. I mean, obviously, Villa, I think, obviously, that's well known, that have got a bad record against us this year, so they were probably just settling in, and we were sort of feeling in a bit. The first real sort of event and got the game going was in the 16th minute when a Villa player got the first booking of the game. So Mateta got the ball in the centre circle and turned and drove towards goal and was just taken out. And that these days is a booking. So that's the first booking of the game. And then a couple of minutes later, from the free kick we had, they broke down the right. And Mitchell then got his first the booking for our first one. He pulled back Rodgers. I think it's probably I think if he booked the Villa guy, he probably had to book Tyrick for that. So it started. Fouls were starting to go in. The game was starting to get a bit juicy up. And then a few minutes later, Villa had a corner. The ball was bobbling about. It came from the far side all the way through to the back post, and Rodgers hit a sort of half volley bouncing past the post. wasn't a bad chance, but I wasn't really too worried about that. And then our first real foray into their half, and the first controversial moment of the game. Mateta chased down Konza, who was dithering about on the ball. Seemed to get the ball nicely off him and ran past him, put it in the net, only for Anthony Taylor to blow his whistle. Now, the only thing I'll say for Anthony Taylor on this one is he did well not to blow his whistle. He let the play go so that VAR could intervene, or review any potential foul. But with Craig Paulson as VAR, I think we all knew the result. But yeah, I personally, I thought it was a very harsh decision and should have been a goal. What do you guys think?
Well, sorry, Teresa, I know you're just about to jump in. He did actually blow the whistle before the goal went in. So I think that's probably why VAR probably didn't overturn it. But I thought it was harsh. Everything I've seen, even the Villa fans have said, they could easily have been 1-0 down. So I think it was, we didn't get the rub of the green on that one at all.
Well, absolutely. Teresa, I'm going to throw to you in a second. But as Graham just said in the chat, it was actually a foul the other way around. It was actually a foul on Mateta. Who was the defender, Paul?
It was Konza.
Konza actually kicked Mateta's foot in the build-up to the shot, and it was definitely a foul in. Tracy, you wanted to make a point on?
Yeah, no, all the commentators, because obviously I was watching it on TV, all the commentators were just like, they couldn't see no reason why that goal was disallowed.
So somebody explains to me then, in that case, the whole point of VAR clear and obvious error. Okay, it was a clear and obvious error. He kicked Mateta. So why was it not overturned? Is that simply because it was an on-field decision, Paul?
Well, if he blew the whistle before it went, then VAR is irrelevant. But I'm pretty sure. I'm not. I think from the commentators, they seem to suggest that, and you could see Anthony Taylor mouthing the description of number 4 to the thing.
Excuse me just a minute. I'm just going to give you an up-to-date. Palace have now gone 3-1 up against Brighton. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
But yeah, I mean, theoretically, if the ball's gone into the net, that's when VAR should look back at it. But I think Alan Shearer said on the commentary when I watched it back, it's one of those decisions. If the ref's given it on the pitch, they're not going to overturn it, which is crazy because that's the whole point of VAR.
That's the whole point of it. Exactly.
Yeah, but it was it struck me as a crazy decision at the time. I wasn't sure. You couldn't really see from our end, but yeah, everyone was texting to me at the Graham saying, yeah, that was a goal, shouldn't have been ruled out. And yeah, I mean, it was very harsh. As they all said, the way Konza went down, he knew he made a mess up and was desperately trying to find some sort of foul for himself. But yeah, so I think we were very hard done by there.
Tim?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt it was a good goal. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. And unfortunately, it just shows again the incompetence of the officials, both on the pitch and back in VAR, to be fair.
Nothing you want to add to that, Ian? I know you're on mute, mate, but is there anything you want to add to that?
That's okay. I'm quite able to unmute myself, Nick. I know it's new technology for you, mate. No, I don't know. I completely agree. It's just one of those things, and I think it's still something, as Paul quite rightly pointed out, something the VAR need to sort out. And maybe once they finally, after about 5 years, get offside decisions within 30 seconds or so, they can perhaps progress to maybe overturning crap decisions like that. But in the whole, I thought Anthony Taylor had a pretty good game because he let it flow as much as he could. So at least it didn't cost us the game. That's the main thing.
No, absolutely. And you're right, Ian. Taylor did actually have a very good game. That was just a bit of a howler from both. Not necessarily from him. He was close to the play. He gave it as he thought he saw it. Okay, it was the incorrect decision. It's VAR that actually cocked that up, in my opinion. But anyway, Paul, we digress, mate. I'm sorry.
So yeah, it's fine. So yeah, it wasn't long though before it all hit the fan, shall we say? A couple of minutes later, Sarr charged down the ball. Villa trying to play it out the back. He smashed Torres smashed it into Sarr. He managed to charge it down, keep it out. He drove into the edge of the box, pulled it back along the penalty box line, and well, we all know what happened next. I mean, a brilliant strike from Ebbs, curling away from Martinez all the time, and it's just, as we all know that we were there, that the end just erupted. And I saw a tweet from the FA saying that when that ball hit the net, that Wembley Stadium broke the sound barrier, and it literally was just a moment. But yeah, great hit. So yeah, everyone, what was your experience of it?
Okay, I'm going to give you my experience first, if you don't mind, Paul. So I'll tell you exactly what happened at that point, okay, or just prior to that point. I'm now, we've been on the lash since, say, quite early in the morning, okay, and I was in need of the gentleman's facilities. Let's put it that way. So I was then at that point edging my way along from the seats where I was to the end of the row. I just got to the end of the row. Sam, my son, was following me out, okay, and he just stood back in the row a little bit because he thought, hey, something's developing here, and he was right to do so. By which time I was actually out in the gangway, and I got jumped on by these randoms. I've no idea who they were, but the celebrations, bear in mind, Teresa will verify what I'm about to say. I've had a real problem with my elbow all week, okay? I thought I'd broken it at one point in the week. Anyway, so I'm trying to nurse this thing, but while we're doing it, we're basically rolling down the steps of Wembley, in Wembley. It was such surreal. So if anybody's watching or listening to this podcast back, if you were one of those random people that came dragging, one of them called me by my name. One of them recognised me. I don't know who you were, but one of you recognised and was just screaming my name at one point. So if you're out there listening to this or listening back to it, I'd love to know who you were. Thank you for the cuddle. I really enjoyed it. Teresa.
Yeah, I was working today. I saw 4 Palace fans come in with injuries from Saturday.
Really?
Yeah.
What sort of injuries? Minor injuries, I
Oh,
hope.
minor injuries. Yeah, nothing major, like grazes to heads, forearms. One guy had gone over 2 rows of seats from the celebrations. Because, of course, I wear my Palace badge at work on my uniform. And I've got my Palace cup as well, like my thermal cup on my desk. So, yeah, so I saw a few fans today.
I think that's brilliant. Paul, actually, Tim, how did you celebrate it? I know you're on your own.
No, I wasn't actually on my own. I was watching it with my darling Wendy, who had actually checked the result but wouldn't tell me. And watching the game, all she kept saying was, "There's always next year. It's all right. It doesn't matter." So for 90 minutes, I had that. So I never quite knew what the result was going to be. And I sort of, yeah. So I was very polite. I didn't swear because my brother-in-law and his partner were also watching it, and they don't like football. So I was very reserved till the second goal went in. Then it was just like, oh, well, there we go. So yeah, it was almost, yeah. It was an amazing moment, that goal.
Right. So when that goal went in, what? Oh, and just to let you know, live update. Leeds on the 22nd minute have just scored. They are 1-0 up against Bristol. From your side of the stadium, what happened?
Yeah, well, clearly with Sarr charged the ball down. Well, it's a poor clearance from Pau Torres, and obviously squared it. And then what I love is that Ebbs he was off both feet when he hit it. He put that much effort into it, and it was just like that.
Yes,
that
I know.
little moment of disbelief, and then all hell broke loose, and the way the wall of noise that came over from behind the goal was just immense, and even my old man at 80 years old was jumping up and down. It was fantastic. After what was pretty much a slow start, but what a way to introduce himself.
Brilliant.
Was it old man or your younger brother?
Yeah, well, actually, it could be both. Let's be honest.
Was Kevin there, by the way? How is Kev?
Yeah. Well, my brother. Yeah, Kev's behind me. Yeah.
You said, give him my best regards. We haven't seen him for ages. Paul, I know we talked about this pre-show, but we have had a question being sent to us, okay? And talking about brothers, it's from my brother, Simon. Now, he asked a question and he was testing everybody's memory banks. Somebody had mentioned to him that when we won a previous semi-final, he believes it was at Stamford Bridge, the following game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, they did a guard of honour. Can you confirm or deny, please?
Well, I can tell you that.
Yeah. When we discussed it pre-match, I sort of remembered that, and we have since verified it on YouTube, and they certainly did. But it was the second game, so the week after we beat Liverpool in 1990, we played Arsenal at home and we drew 1-1. And I remember the big problem for that game was Andy Thorne got stretchered off, and everyone thought, oh, he's going to be out for the season. We're not going to have him for the final, but fortunately he did come back. But yeah, back in the days, we played 2 days later. That was a Saturday, and we played on the Monday on the bank holiday at Stamford Bridge. And yep, they surely did give us a guard of honour on our way out, and then thumped us 3-0.
Smashed us, exactly.
That was the respect they gave us that day.
There you go, Simon. There's your answer to your question, mate. Good question. Any other decent questions out there? Teresa in the chat before I give back to Paul.
Not so much questions, loads of comments.
Go on in.
There's loads of people online. Paul Holden, Graham Kitchener, Dawn, Jack Duval says came a long way. Now we're not talking about getting rid of players. Leon Saunds, he went to the Green Man. He said it was buzzing in there.
Oh yeah, Leon. Yeah, all right, mate.
John Lines, he said they went to a nice pub in Euston pre-match. Philip Von David, he said that Eze's pass was like his pass was threaded through like a needle.
Yeah.
Rod Cranford obviously online. Keith Parker. Who else? Oh, they're flying through.
Yeah, good. Okay. Right. So I'm going to let you carry on for a minute, Paul, because I'm sure we've got one or two other things.
Yeah, just on that, it was actually great. I was in the fan zone before the game, and I was obviously in the ground quite early. It was great to see quite a few people who watch us on the show come up and say hello. It's really nice when people do that.
I know. I know.
I had a nice chat with Jim, who's on the chat tonight, and a few people. It's really good, and it was great to see the whole Red and Blue review community at the ground having having the day of their lives. So yeah, but back to the game anyway. So yeah. So 1-0 up. Everyone in dreamland at this point, but we nice to see we're still going for it. And then Mateta did one of his runs of the season. Really, I know he's done a few this season, but he got the ball on the touchline and then dragged it over Konza again. Got down to the byline. Lovely cross in, just a little bit. Sarr just gone a bit too far forward, so he couldn't control the header, unfortunately. But that was a brilliant run. It sort of summed up Mateta's attitude that day.
But they looked very average at the back. Ian, can I ask you a question?
You mean Villa looked average?
What did I say?
You just said they looked very average at the back. I mean, I'm assuming you mean Villa.
Yeah, of course. Ian, so how good were we, or how poor were Aston Villa?
Well, for a start, for someone that's as positive to Teresa, for her to even think you were talking about us, I'm disappointed in you, T. I think do you know what? I went into that game thinking it was going to be really, really tight. But I just think at the minute we've got the sign over them. When we break, Matty Cash is all over the shop. Camara, he's all over the shop. And as I say, Pau Torres is Cons is the only decent defender they've got, to be fair. But he can't do everything on his own. And we just swarm. We just swarm. With the formation as it is and the form that Mateta, Ebbs and Sarr are in, they pivot off one another. And then you've got Munoz flying on. You've got Mitchell flying on for air kicks in the 6-yard box. You know, it causes them chaos. They can't deal with the movement.
Cool. Tim, I'm going to ask you a question and then I'm going to hand back to Paul. This is how I wanted it to go this evening, guys. We're going to interact with the game and just talk about that. But I want you to eulogise, please, about Ismaili Sarr. What have we found in a player like that? Now, I was listening to HLTCO's podcast earlier on, and he was saying that this goes back a long time. This goes back a real long time. This is a Dougie Freeman potential buy from 4 or 5 seasons ago. He wanted Sarr, even long before we sold Michael Elise, as backup to Michael Elise. He's never going to replace Michael Elise. I know that. Okay, but what sort of a player have we got in Ismaili Sarr?
I know when we signed him, Ian Lyons, and it means being nice to Ian, which is really horrible. But he said all along, we signed a hell of a player there. And I think he's absolutely right. But I think it's not only Sarr, it's the manager and what the manager can do with players that come in. But Sarr can do everything. When he's on his game, he terrifies defenders, especially when he's playing in the middle, just running straight up. He's fast, he never stops. And apart from anything else, you can see he gets what it means to play for us. So I think anytime a player, you can see that, you get an extra 10, 15% from him.
Interesting. Paul, back to you, mate.
Yeah, so after that run, just a minute after that, I think Villa finally got a corner and gave probably the only scare we had in the first half. A corner which went over the top of Richards and Lacroix, and Konza headed it down to the goal line, and then Henderson managed to scoop it out. So, excuse me. So that was a little hairy moment. Got that ball clear, but then first half petered out until sort of a stoppage time in the first half when we produced a lovely move. Ball got to Eze on the left hand side, and then we played it through and across via. Eze played to Walton, who played to Munoz, who then put it to Sarr. Again, a bit like goal, he's pulled it back, and in comes the on-rushing Tyrick Mitchell, ready to bust the net. And I think he was just, whether he was just so unconfident in his right foot, he was thinking about it too much. He just took a complete air shot, and it petered away. But that would have been a killer time to score a second goal. But yeah, that was not his finest attacking moment.
So. Is that because that's even in training, that's where he doesn't play in that? He obviously doesn't play in that position, but he doesn't get forward enough in training. Is that something that could be coached into him, or
9 times out of 10 he kicks that properly? He's just it's the day, it's the nerves. For someone who doesn't score often, when you've got a sitter in front of you at Wembley in a match of that importance, you probably do overthink it and just fluff your lines. I don't think, as I say, if he had that tomorrow, I think he'd hit it properly. But it was just one of those misses. But yeah, it was a shame because it would have been great to go in at 2-0 because obviously that second goal cushion is always what we need. But yeah, so we went in 1-0 at half time. Everyone's happy with that, and yeah, it was all guns blazing. So we came out second half and
Hold
Villa,
on. Just take a breath there. Just take a breath there, because you're doing a cracking job, mate. Teresa,
Yes.
you wanted to, you put your hand up to make a point.
Did I?
So just lift that glass up. Show
She
me
was
the glass.
ordering a drink.
Not that one.
Yeah, that was empty a minute ago, so that's obviously another one that's been handed to you. That's why you just put your hand up and didn't realise. Stop giggling and concentrate on what you're doing. Yeah, Ian.
Right. Quickly going back to the Mitchell chance, it was on his wrong foot. You know, had that been on his left foot, ironically, most of the times when he should be hitting it with his right foot, he try and takes it with his left foot. So, you know, it's just one of those things. But the poor guy, I mean, if he probably wanted the ground to open up at that particular point. And again, all the stuff I've seen on the Village vlogs and all that sort of stuff, they said how he missed it, but they felt sorry for him in a way.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul, back to you, mate.
that's all right. No, it's always good to relive these things to see. It's. I mean, I thought he trod on the ball, but like I say, he's just, we just the wrong person at the wrong place there, wasn't it? But yeah, second half started. Villa came out with a bit of pressure. Got the ball across into the box. McGinn hit a shot first time, which Henderson did well to tip over. I think he admitted in the interview after the game it was a bit of a camera save, but it had to be saved. It was well kept under the bar. And from the resulting corner, the ball bobbled about a bit and came out to Luca Dino, who's hit an arrow of a shot to the bottom corner. I was right in line with this, and the save was incredible save, fantastic save. Even John McGinn shook Dean's hand after it. It was a brilliant save, again, at a key time. So yeah, I mean, that would have hopefully popped a bit of the balloon out of Villa coming out strong and still not being able to score.
Actually, on the point of balloons, can I just make a point? Somebody mentioned it in the chat a little bit earlier. Okay, very difficult for the people under the tifo to release their balloons simultaneously as the tifo went up, because I don't know if you saw how they pulled the tifo up, but it was about 4 lads had to literally run it up the middle of the stadium for everybody else to hold it up. So someone did mention in the chat earlier, congratulations to Grant Saunders, who organised, I think it was 10,000 balloons, is it, Paul? Something like that. You know better than I do. Yeah, so massive well done. And to anybody else that took him in, there was no search. And no wonder they got the flares in, because there was no search at the gate. There was nothing, zero, nada. There was one bloke manning 2 turnstiles when I went in there. Okay, and he just wanted to see my ticket, and I went straight in. I didn't get a pat down, let alone anything else. Certainly, so no wonder it's so easy for them to get the. Again, in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, what was your experience on Saturday about the searches at the gate? Because mine was absolutely nothing. Ian,
I just wanted to say a quick thing about the flares. I know some people don't like them, but I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. What I would ask, though, is if they get to do it again for the final, is unless the opposition goalkeeper is right in front of them, maybe not to set them off just at the point of kickoff, maybe on the point of the teams coming out, because City are the type of team that will look at that and maybe take advantage, and then all of a sudden they'd have scored 3 goals and we'd be going like this in the mist.
oh, a fair point, mate. And in case anybody missed that message that came up on the screen, it said Red and Blue Review in Club Wembley, we got searched. Okay, now just for a point of clarity, ladies and gentlemen, and for those listening to the pod, Red and Blue Review account this evening is being run by our wonderful producer Nigel Croucher, who, yes, he did get prawn sandwich tickets on Saturday. So we don't want to hear any more from you, Croucher, you posh bloke. Okay, Paul, continue, mate.
Yeah, on just in my experience on going in, you went through the metal detectors and then they waved you down with the metal wand, so there was no pat down or anything. So yeah, as long as your flares weren't metallic, you were fine. But yeah, so we've weathered a little bit of the Villa storm, and then we break forward. Ball comes out to Walton, who plays a lovely first time ball into the box for Eze to run onto, and he's taken out quite clearly. There's that split second where you're wondering what the ref's going to do, but sure enough, he pointed at the spot and also had the VAR check. But yeah, they couldn't really dispute that. It was a clear penalty. And obviously, we seem to have an issue with penalties takers at the moment. Obviously, Eze lost his place as the penalty taker the other week with his shocker. And people think about Mateta. Now, Mateta's taken 2 and scored 2 already this season, and I'm pretty sure I seem to remember that neither of them were actually that convincing, to be honest. So I was sort of not counting my chickens at this point, and sure enough, he took up. And I think he just tried to be too precise and hit the outside of the post. I mean, it's obviously better than the miss Eze did the other day, but
on the subject of Eze, can I just make a point about Eze? I forgot to tell you when you mentioned his goal a minute ago. On the point of Eze, so I had various £3 and £4 bets on the Friday going to the game, but I had 10 quid left in my account. Okay, so I did 2 £5 bets, one for Walton to score the winner or to score any time, and one £5 bet for Eze to score from outside the box. I looked at my phone at half time. There's 80 quid sitting in the account. Boom! Thanks,
nice.
Ebbs.
It's always. I mean, it was an instant reaction from the Villa end. They suddenly got a bit noisy, and missing a penalty in that circumstances, it can be quite. It's a bit worrying because it could turn a game, and so I was a little bit worried at that point, I must admit. But thankfully, we were straight back on the attack, and within a few minutes, pandemonium again. So a lovely bit of play. We got the ball in the halfway line again, threaded through to Sarr, who just turned and head down towards goal, which is what I love about him. And from 25 yards, he's arrowed a shot into the bottom corner. And again, well, as I say, just absolute madness, absolute nuts in the crowd. I mean, as you say, hugging people you've never met before and people jumping all over you. And it was just, another one of those magic moments. So it was, I can imagine it was good in the escape room, Tim.
Oh, Tim, before you answer that, can I just ask you a question? Did Wendy search you before you went in?
Yes, she did. It was great. Normally I have to pay for it, but I got a free one. So there you go.
Really?
I think we're all grateful you were muted then, Teresa.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw you moving your lips and see, but we don't know what you said. Right.
Tim might have been very embarrassed.
Did you get to celebrate the goal, Teresa, or were you at the party at that point?
No, I refused to go to the party until I watched the match.
Oh, well done.
Brilliant. I like to hear it.
I like the style. Good. And how did you celebrate the goal?
With a couple of drinks in my lounge.
No. Those of you know Teresa Baker won't be shocked to hear that.
Even Andy was like cheering Palace on.
Wow.
Andy's a good bloke, and we tell him that we're cheering on the fact that Leeds are winning at the moment and they're coming back. So good on you, Andy.
6
good
points.
6 points again. Ole, ole.
So, we're 2-0 up. Everything's going swimmingly great. And then a few minutes later, Chris Richards gets booked. Rogers is trying to get away from him. And again, he sort of stops him. The new in phrase, isn't it? Stopping a promising attack. So, he got his booking for that. So, Villa again trying to move forward. And then from the resulting free kick, there was a real goalmouth scramble, and it fell to their striker who leathered it towards goal. But there's about 15 people in the way, and luckily it came off one of their players for a goal kick. But that was, again, one of their rare attacks.
Paul, I have a question for you.
Yep.
I'm a little bit. You're talking about the Richards card on the 65th minute, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have this thing in my head. I mean, bear in mind, it was such a wonderful experience. Everything went so well for us. But the substitutions, players already on yellow cards, i.e. Mitchell on the 19th minute, Richards on the 65th minute, and then Kamada on the 84th minute. Those three got yellow carded. But he waited from the 19th minute to the 84th minute to bring Chilwell on. A bit of a strange substitution, that, do you not think? And why, if Richards gets booked in the 65th minute, why he wasn't included in one of the substitutions?
I think Glasner trusts the players, and as we said, Anthony Taylor was actually having a decent match the other week against Brighton when he refed us. He was giving out cards you had to be sort of a bit cautious about it because every foul was a card, but he was refereeing it sensibly. I think the players were trusted, and like I say, the only reason Chilwell came on was because Mitchell went down injured. So that was a sensible decision to do because he obviously got cramp or whatever. You don't take any chances at that point. But yeah, I didn't think there was too much issues with the substitutions or having to take him off for bookings. Ian.
No, something completely different. I'm just going to say there's we got an Everton fan in the chat saying he wants us to do it for football moving forward. So I just wanted to say hello to Toffee Jedi and welcome him to the madhouse that is Red and Blue Review. I hope he
Toffee
enjoys it.
Jedi, you are welcome aboard, my man. Okay. Good luck in your new stadium in the new year. Thank you for your comments. Okay. And you are welcome. And you're quite right. Other people have made the same point that, wouldn't it be really good, Newcastle winning the Carling Cup or whatever it's called now, Carabao Cup, and another team. Now, boys and girl, okay, I may have this totally wrong. Somebody gave me a scenario this week, okay? Is it possible? Does it happen? Is it true? Am I talking bollocks? Okay, up to you. Right, here we go. So, Brighton finish 8th and qualify for Europe. Crystal Palace then come along and win the FA Cup. Do we have the facility to knock Brighton out of Europe? Paul Gear.
In theory, yes. As it happened to Newcastle last year. So, if a Champions League or Europa League placed team wins the FA Cup, i.e. Man City, then Europe will go down to 8th. So top 5 go Champions League, 6th and 7th will be Europa League, and 8th will be Europa Conference. Now, if we win it, we take one of those 2 Europa spots, so only the 6th team will go into Europa League, and 7th will be the Conference. Now, that is obviously a dream scenario in every way, pretty much. But we have a slight difference this year because obviously the Cup final is before the end of the season. So we will know it's not like we can win the Cup to knock them out. They will know, if we win the Cup, then they'll know they have to get 7th. But it would be lovely for them to finish 8th and us win the Cup, and then it would be lovely.
That's
on
amazing.
Palace.
Yeah.
Icing on the cake.
That would be the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake.
That would be akin to us beating Burnley while they think they've won the league on the flight, and the captain comes over and gives them the result, as he did back in the day. That would just haunt them for decades.
Oh God, can you imagine it?
I even saw on their forums this week, because I did have a little peek after we'd won.
So did I. Yeah,
a lot of them, a few of them were saying it doesn't matter what we do or where we finish. If Palace win the FA Cup, it's the worst season ever. so
What, the North Stand chat?
So let's hope we can fulfil that for them. So talking about the bookings and the subs, obviously 77-minute Eddie comes on for Mateta again, as they said on the commentary. He's going off with a shirt wrenched in sweat. He'd run his socks off all match, and I think it's
that's fair enough.
In thing to do at the moment, bring Eddie on for the last 10-15 minutes, because he's doing well at the moment as well in lots of ways. And we keep hearing how well he's doing in training. So it gives Mateta a break and gives a bit more pace up front to give them some trouble. So and then pretty much straight after that, there's some good work on the edge of the box. Meze's controllable, and Eddie knocks it out to Kamada, who puts in a lovely ball, and Sarr with a header which could have finished the game off for good. He just puts it wide of the far post, and even at that point, I'm sort of thinking, just please, we need this third goal, because he's just so panicky that one goal and then they could be back or whatever. So it was a real chance to kill the game off there. Hang
on, let's go to Trees. What you found, Trees?
I haven't found anything. I just want to say, at that point, can we just show the love for Kamada Daichi? I've been championing him all season.
Yeah, we've already done it. But I thought you said
a bit more.
I said
you championed you for 4 seasons, Teresa.
Yeah, well, he always got us free kicks, didn't he?
I said, I asked you if you found something. I was actually talking about the bottom of the glass, but carry on, Paul.
So we're going to enter in the last 10 minutes. Then, as we mentioned earlier, Mitchell's again, after running up and down all match, he goes down and obviously instantly just bring Chilwell. There's no point in taking any risks. So that was another one. And then, as you say, a minute later, Kamada got booked for a foul on Tielemans. He'd done a couple of fouls, so I think that was more accumulation rather than a bad foul. So. But as I say, they were all playing well. You don't want to disrupt it, really, so you don't want to take someone off if you don't have to. But he did eventually, in 87 minutes, get to the point where he brought some legs on and some midfield enforcers. So Hughes and Lerma came on for Eze and Walton, and I never liked doing that. And I know we're 2-0 up, but you sort of take the heart out of your team. If something did horrendous happen, you suddenly got a slightly weaker extra time. But that's another day, another story, and thankfully didn't happen. But 87 minutes, I think stoppage time went up, and we're just sort of all praying and waiting for the final whistle and go mad again. And just to complete the day, Eddie wins the ball back off Tielemans on the halfway line, and he plays it first time through. And Sarr, who's like a steam train, even at 93 minutes, I mean, the energy and the pace of that guy, he's non-stop, and that's why we love him so much. He's composed now. I think when he was at Watford, I sometimes thought he was a bit erratic and composure wasn't his thing, but he's really developed in that. And this year he's come on leaps and bounds. You were confident. Normally, if someone Palace player goes through like that, you're sort of, come on. But I was actually like, yeah, he's going to bury this, and he did. And like you say, the sort of joy and eruption at the end of that, knowing you're in the cup final, and it was just incredible. Ian.
Paul, that was a fantastic summary, mate, especially as we've been trying to derail you for the last 20 minutes or whatever. You can't
stop me on this one.
Down the middle. Well done. The only thing I was going to say is, bringing it back to the third goal, am I the only one that actually felt that Nketiah fouled Konza?
No,
I think he did.
I'm not talking about through rose-coloured glasses. For me, he actually comes around the side of him and pulls. Yes, we know that they'll fall down, and this is where I think Taylor had a good game.
I thought they were going to blow a foul on that one as well.
Yeah. I think I was surprised it was given, to be fair. But then, having said that, maybe that ironed out. Maybe in half time he realised he'd messed up for the Mateta one, so maybe it was just evening that up.
I think it was clever as well.
I've seen them given. It's one of those ones where you see them given, but then it's good to see. You know, not every thing is a foul. Not every foul is a yellow card. So I think, again, God, I've got to agree with Ian. This is horrible. I think he may well be right. He may have thought, yeah, that Mateta one, I shouldn't have disallowed that, so we'll let that one go.
Paul, I was just coming to you a minute ago. I was just having a look at the live viewer numbers that are watching the show this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for supporting us in such big numbers. We are having a bit of a laugh tonight. We are watching slowly. It's taken nearly an hour for Trees to get pissed, but she's nearly there. Okay, and thank you for joining us. If you're listening back on the podcast after the live show, you are also equally as welcome as all the live viewers this evening as well. Paul.
Yeah, no, I think like Ian says, I think he wins the ball, but then he definitely pulls him over by the shoulder. I think it was clever and lucky that obviously it was the other side of the ref. If the ref had been able to see that side of it, he probably wouldn't have given it. But yeah, he's definitely yanked him down a bit. And yeah, as we say, Saar through and finish. And as I say, just that goal celebration will live long in the memory. It was just it's nothing better than winning a game at the end, just when you know it's done. You know you can't lose it from that point. It's just great. And yeah, the players celebrated wildly, as we can see, and they deserved it.
Does anybody know, Ian, I am coming to you, mate, I promise you. Does anybody know whether Prince William made it back? Yes, he was in the funeral in Rome in the morning, but did he make it back for the game in the afternoon?
No, he didn't.
He would have struggled. It's a 4.5
No, he wasn't there, Nick.
Right, they certainly didn't show him on TV.
No.
Okay. Ian, you're about to make a point, mate.
Yeah, I was just going to make a general point about the boys and girls in the crowd and the fact that they just did not stop from before the game until all the way 15 minutes after the game had finished. And I think we're going to need that again. And to follow on from that, so congratulations to everyone that was there for a start on putting on such a show for the world to see. But also, I have to say, and I take my hat off to all the Villa fans I met on the way there and on the way back, and have since seen on socials, all the vlogs and that, who have been so magnanimous in defeat and for their appreciation of our fans and how we performed, as well as the team. I think they're a credit to their club, and I wish them nothing but luck.
Do you know what? That is a point very well made. I'm going to quickly push on before we talk about the final. Lone Watch, Joe Whitworth saw his Exeter side return to winning ways, 3-1 against Huddersfield Town. Owen Goodman, Wimbledon fell to a 2-0 defeat. Rob Holding kept a clean sheet, Nige. Rob Holding kept a clean sheet for Sheffield United, what you've written, in their 2-0 win away at Stoke City. Jez Raksaki didn't feature for the Blades. David Emery helped Bromley to a chaotic 3-3 draw with Burton Albion, and Jeffrey Schlupp, came off the bench for the final 15 minutes as Celtic swept aside Dundee United 5-0 to claim the Scottish Premiership. In other team news, okay, there has only been one, apart from Palace playing right now, 3-1 with 2 minutes to go, beating Brighton. The only other game since we last came on air, sadly saw the ladies finally relegated. Getting to say they got hammered by West Ham is an understatement. That 1-7 result at home, and they got relegated. Very sad, but it was. I think the icing was on the cake probably from the first couple of weeks of the season. They were always going to struggle. So commiserations, ladies. We still love you. Anyway, Paul, have you done on the actual game on Saturday?
Yeah, I think the game's done. As I say, the only other thing I was going to say about it was they obviously had a bit of a debate on the studios and stuff about man of the match. I think you could have probably had any of our players as man of the match. And when you get a team turn up and everyone's 9 out of 10, then you're going to win. And if we can put a performance like that in 3 weeks' time, then we've got a really good shout.
Yeah, we're going to come on to that now. And for those of you who made those recent comments after Teresa said hers about Daichi Kamada, you obviously missed the beginning of the show because I actually was an advocate for Daichi Kamada. I think he had equally his best game following the Arsenal game. So you're going to get no arguments. And Paul's right, what you just said. You could pick out a handful of players. And, I didn't think Walton had the best first half. I think he had a cracking second half. What about Dean Henderson? A couple of, he didn't have much to do, but what he did do, he did well. Okay, he properly gets Crystal Palace. Same as Sarr, he properly gets the club. Somebody else has just asked a question in the chat. Do we think that if we win the FA Cup, we've got a chance of keeping Mark? I don't think we have personally, but Ian, your thoughts? He wants European football.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? I guess if we win the cup and we get European football as a result, regardless of what the scum do, then it will certainly help us keep players. Whether or not it'll help us keep Guehi, I'm not sure, because of the clubs that are after him. Obviously, the likes of Liverpool and that will offer him not just European competition, but the chance of winning a European Cup or to boot. So I can't see Guehi staying, but I could possibly see the likes of Ebbs and Mateta staying if we do well.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of selling Guehi. If you do sell him, you don't then have the financial pressure to have to sell anyone else. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Gel's just joined. He's in the chat. Good evening, Mr. Holyoke. I hope you're well, big man. Teresa, from the chat, please.
Yeah, a couple of things. Mark Callahan brought up about Rashford, who obviously didn't play for Villa, was seen at the boxing Saturday evening. What do you guys think about that?
He pulled his hamstring getting there, didn't he?
There's who else is on? Quentin Soldan. Where the Dickens is Odson Edouard at the club?
The long lost Odson Edouard. I presume now their season's over. He's back with us, isn't he?
Is he not out of contract or is it next year he's out of contract?
I'm not sure. And
I know that
there's been a question about asking. Who was asking that one? John Knox, who loved Ollie Glasner's celebration at the end of the match. When are we going to get him to sign a new contract?
Yeah, John, you're not wrong, man. I hope you're well, buddy. Love to the family. That is pivotal to our summer. That is absolutely massive for our summer. And the result against Man City could be the clincher, if I'm honest with you.
To me, Nick, that's the key signing for us. For regardless of who goes, we could lose 4 players for all I'm concerned if we keep him. The flip side of that is if we do sign him up, there is going to be he's got a reputation for demanding stuff from the board and from his chairman, and I've no doubt they would willingly try and do their best, but there will be a tough negotiation because he'll want to push on, and that means buying players, and that means potentially, as Paul quite rightly said, sending the likes of Guehi, and dare I say, perhaps Wharton, if people are sniffing around him. Not I'm saying I want Wharton to go or anything like that, but if a big offer comes in for him that's too good to turn down, 90 million, say, because that's clearly what he's worth with potential-wise, would we turn it down?
Okay, and I'm just going to correct you on something. I agree with absolutely everything you just said, Ian, and about the manager and wanting to get the players signed and everything else. But the one word that you did miss out there was the word early. He made it absolutely
Yes.
crystal clear that he wanted our business done earlier last summer window. If the board screw this up, that's when I think we could potentially have an issue. You know that Spurs are going to be sniffing around. You know they are. There's going to be more than one top 6 team replacing their manager. And the people like Oliver Glasner are right up there on the shopping list. And unless they commit to getting it done early, then I think there's a problem. Tim, you wanted to make a point, mate. You're on mute. You're still on mute.
Oh, yeah, lost my mouse there. Yeah, it was just about Glasgow. I think you guys are absolutely right. What sums it up for me is, like, for the Arsenal game, I like a lot of people were thinking make lots of changes, rest players, but he didn't. He wanted a stronger team as he could for confidence. You look at Spurs. Spurs rested, was it 8 players and got hammered by Liverpool. Yeah, I know it's Liverpool, but what's their confidence level going to be like? Everything Glasner says, he seems to know what he's talking about. The game against City, when we got beaten so badly, he admitted he made a mistake. And what was it he said to Pep? If we play you in the final when you play like that, we're going to work it out. And I think he will.
So do I. So, Teresa, quickly, because I want to.
I just want to shout out on the chat. Davey T saying fantastic performance. Just hope because it's City in the final, you don't change tactics. Pace and power with you. Pace and power wins you the final. He's a Newcastle United football fan.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Newcastle
David.
fan. I appreciate you being there. Right, on that very subject, great segue. Teresa, round the table, please. I want to know, what do we do? What have we got to do to beat the Manx at Wembley? Paul Gear.
We have to put in a performance like we did on Saturday. We gave everyone 9 out of 10. I think they're not the fastest back line these days. I think our pace up front will be a big key to that. It's breaking with pace, I think, is going to be the key against them. I'd like to think they didn't look. I know they're improving. They've obviously had a bad season. They're getting better again, as we saw when they hit form against us the other week. But I wasn't scared. And watching them the other day against Forest, there was nothing special there. Hopefully it won't turn into the farewell De Bruyne trophy tour and they do that. But I mean, I was amazed he rested players yesterday. He still doesn't seem to. I know they do well in this cup, but he still doesn't take it seriously. So you never know. You could have those on the bench again. So yeah, we just need the front boys on fire, pace and power.
If you look at him after his post-match interview, he was just so blasé. Yeah, we're back at Wembley again. And I think their fans are a disgrace to see that amount of empty seats at Wembley for a semi-final of a cup. Yes, I know they've been there 30 times in 18 years or whatever it is. I don't give a shit. Your team are at Wembley. Just as sad. For that reason alone, I hope we stuff them. Because, in the words of old Dad's Army, they don't like it up them, as you just said. Get at that back four. Get up their back four and have a go at them. Tim, your thoughts? How do we get past City?
By being brave. We have to be brave. We have to play like we were playing yesterday. You can't stand off them. You can't give them too much time. You can't let them play. We just got to be brave. And if we play like we did yesterday, everyone's fit. Leave it to Glasner. I'm pretty sure we're going to win. I'm quite confident.
Teresa, your thoughts?
I agree. I think City look ponderous on their back. They have not got really any speed. And I think if we fire some quick balls up front with the pace of Sarr, with Munoz running like the demon up and down the line like he does, I think we've got a good chance of getting in behind them and scoring that way.
Ian, I'm going to give you the final word, Ian, because I'm concerned that Teresa's glass is getting low. Okay.
It's Pepsi Max.
Yeah, of course it is, love. Yeah. How do we get past City, Ian?
Well, we just got to play like we did for the first 25 minutes away at the Etihad 3 weeks ago. I think City, if you give City momentum, they'll kill you. And that what we did was we sat back, and that was the worst thing for us. What I'm concerned about is them. They've obviously been working on a back 3 formation, which they played against Forest. So maybe they were trying that out with a view of matching up against us with it, which could cause problems. But as the guys have said before about Glasner, he'll be prepared for that. They're not the threat that they would have been for us a few years back. We've turned them over a number of times. Part of that is because they've taken us lightly, and we've gone for it. They won't take us lightly this time round, and
Definitely not.
I think this is going to be a tough game for us. I've got to say, I'm not that confident, but it wouldn't surprise me if we beat them 3-0. So let's go for it.
I love you. I love your optimism, mate. Nigel, next show, please. I think it's going to come up very shortly. I have before he does that. I am aware of the hundreds of comments that you guys have put in the chat. I haven't read them all this evening. I'm going to finish the show any minute now, and I'm going to go back and read every single one of your comments. And thank you for each and every one of them. We will be returned, as it said on screen, on Tuesday, the 5th of May at 8 o'clock. Please join us then. It's going to be. We're going to continue that celebration even then. I guarantee you. Ian, Paul, last word from you, mate.
I think it's actually Tuesday the 6th. I think Monday's the 5th when we play Forest.
You can't get the producers these days, mate. Okay, we have to take what we're given, and we got Lucy and Lionsy and Crouchy. You know what they're like. None of them are below 80. So Tim Richards, thank you for joining me. Teresa Baker, we love you. Go and get a drink, darling. Paul Gear, as always. Ian Lyons, don't leave it so long, man, because we want you on the show. To everybody out in the YouTube and Facebook land, thank you for joining us this evening. We'll be back next week at some point. Take good care. Enjoy the moment, people. Enjoy the moment. Good night.
Cheers.